Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Austrian Legacy Challenge. Saturday it is. It is the finals time of our nice legacy event. My name is Daniel. I'm joined with Peter for the finals. Both we are from the In Response cast, and we have our finalists ready to battle it out for the final title. Um, but just first, how was insane was that match just that happened just right now?
Yeah, the match was really insane. Marco Schmidhuber played against Alexander Meyer. It was Stefan Texas versus Blue Black Tempo. Usually a pretty bad matchup for Blue Black Tempo, but
Yeah.
Marco Schmidhuber prevailed. He played through a lot of different things. We've seen Joran getting hardcasted, getting flickered again. It was really cool to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We had some key discard spells, a Fortsies getting rid of the pre-war formalware, which is an insane engine that D&T can
Yeah.
play. And yeah, it was a pretty awesome match. As we've seen some questions in the stream, there will be rewards up to grab later on. They will be uploaded to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. We have an Austrian Legacy League YouTube channel where everything that we covered here will be available at later time, and yeah, we can watch that in after a couple of days after the tournament. And now we have the finals to also look into. It is Markus Schmidhuber, as you just mentioned, on Blue Black Tempo. He faces Simon Ritter, which is on Cradle Control.
Yeah, I've been able to commentate over both of those players. I think I've casted the win and in of Cradle Control in round 6.
Mm-hmm.
We both casted it together, am I
Yeah, I
right?
think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had this Cradle Control on stream already a couple of times.
yeah.
Yeah.
And was awesome to see Mr. Ritter prevailing into the top 8, and now
Yeah.
he meets Marco Schmidhuber in the finals.
Interesting deck choice also, and interesting matchup, I think, overall. So Cradle Control has a lot of creatures. It has natural order for a 1/2 punch into Atraxa, and Blue Black Reanimator, a fair tempo, sometimes mid range, sometimes more tempo game deck. What do you think? Who has a little bit the edge?
I I personally think on average that Cradle Control should be a little bit better, even though you really have to resolve one of your natural orders for the Traxxer to gain the big value.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the worst matchup of those would be Blue Black Reanimator
Yeah.
over Blue Black Tempo. On the other hand, the key removal spells that Cradle Control plays out of the sideboard, Snuff Out is also pretty much dead versus Blue Black Tempo, because it only hits Tamio in post-board games,
Mm-hmm.
and Brazen Boron, the one of Murktide Regent.
Yeah.
Uh, but on the other hand, with the addition of the one of Toxic Deluge, that pretty much all of the Blue Black Tempo player plays, you have a clean answer to everything that Cradle Control can provide.
Okay. So yeah, you think that Cradle Control might be some, yeah, maybe at this point, as in later games, stages of the
Yeah,
game, it has more creatures, it had more value overall, and which would make sense um, to have the edge
yeah,
overall. Let's say for the blue black over the blue
yeah,
black. What do I see? I think Simon is on the play because he was second after standings, or like in the top 8, and Marcus was 6th place. So he will of course be on the play, which is a big advantage as well.
yeah. The plain draw Penendrum in game 1 is a big upside for Cradle Control.
Mhm.
You can develop your mana. You can Greens and Zenith for 0 on turn 1, or drop one of your other 8 1-drops to improve to 3 mana
Yeah.
on your turn 2. So we will see that Simon Ritter will accelerate a little bit in the first game, which
Yeah.
should neglect the daces that are being played on the side of blue-black tempo. So yeah, but it's still blue-black tempo. It is really versatile how the deck plays out. If you play like 1-2 Nethergoyfs and an Orcish Bowmasters to go the aggro route, you protect the Tamio, wait a few turns, flip her. But yeah, also the Orcish Bowmasters are kind of good in this matchup because it kills Dried Arbor, Ignoble, and Noble Hierarch. Those are the cards that you want to accelerate off. And yeah, you are very, very easy to disrupt them.
Yeah, there are a lot of targets for that sense. So we will see who, takes their respective line and advantage for deciding on themselves. So let's maybe think a bit on some of the decisions when it comes now to Mulligan, and maybe we can have a look at the hand. What do you think is Simon, for example, looking at when it comes to the opening hand?
Yeah, Simon is looking at ideally in the form of Green Sun Zenith and Ignoble or Noble Hierarch, or maybe even 2 Green Sun Zeniths to accelerate on turn 1 and to put in a Rite of the Reliquary on turn 2. Or even like a Hierarch and a Rite of the Reliquary. Those are 2 key cards. Then if you can go for a Grist afterwards, it's also kind of nice. And then he is looking into Gaea's Cradle to really solidify his mana advantage and go for further action. Maybe even going for a natural order, sacrificing maybe even a Grist token or a creature that doesn't really care about forcing out the Force of Will on the side of Marcus, and then try to go with the value route with Atraxa.
And now what we see here, he has Once Upon a Time on turn 1, which is very serviceable, I would say. It's a good start, one of the best starts that in general Cradle Control has. It's a free spell.
Yeah.
And follows it up now with a Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, so exactly the start that he hoped. Acceleration on turn 1, and then maybe going for the key creatures in his deck on turn 2. On the other side, Marco Schmidhuber just developing his game plan for the next few turns to set up removal to kill the key creatures of Simon.
Why do you think he goes for the basic here instead of the Underground Sea?
Maybe he's expecting a form of a green-white depth engine. Those usually play a few wastelands. I've played against him a few times with green-white depths, and their wasteland was a key factor in being able to disrupt him. But
okay, so let's just
it's just a fear.
It's just being a little bit conservative and trying to play around this wasteland, I guess. Okay, he casts Ponder and keeps it on top, I think. And now we pass back to Simon on his second turn, which at the point now pointing a Thoughtseize at Marcus. Let's see what he can snap off. And if we see a Bowmasters to Fetchlands, a Barrogoyf, and a Daze. So what would you pick here?
I mean, if I would have a Rite of the Reliquary, it would be, I think, cleanly the Daze. Because then you can just play land Rite of the Reliquary, and I'm looking quite feasible in here.
Like for this turn exactly?
For this turn exactly. Okay. Or you just let him have the Daze, play around Daze for the rest of the game, and take a Barrogoyf or a Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah, Barrogoyf, right, is something that turns the table quite fast, I would say. So this is what ends up happening. Salmon takes the Barrogoyf, which was very strong in the last match that Marcus had. So probably he wants to make sure that Marcus doesn't have that and plays a Sylvan Safekeeper.
Yeah, especially since Cradle Control doesn't play any removal besides the 2 Talongates of Madara in the main deck, and those are only temporary solutions for the Barrogoyf. So Barrogoyf, if it's on the field, is a pretty hard obstacle to overcome for Cradle Control.
So now Marcus has only the option to deploy Orcish Bowmasters, which he can do. How is your feeling when it comes to facing the Sylvan Safekeeper, though? Would you deploy it to, try to kill one of the creatures and maybe trade with a land?
with the happening of maybe a White of the Reliquary in the new future, it can be kind of hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, Orcish Bowmaster still denying land drops would still be good.
Yeah. Of course. Makes sense. But Marcus here decides to wasteland and just passes the turn back. And Simon, on the other hand, attacked with the Sylvan Safekeeper and now deployed an Elvish Reclaimer.
Yeah.
Let's see if he has another land drop. Yeah, there's one.
Talon Gates of Madara,
Very-
nothing protected.
Nothing protected.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
It takes the Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah, Talon Gates is a very important piece for this deck. One of the newest additions to do something like that you can actually protect your creatures.
Yeah, it was basically printed in the near time frame of Keen-Edge Corridor, which is nowadays the premier beta of the deck.
Yeah.
It's a card that can... It's basically the new big Scavenging Ooze. Those cards got printed and empowered the deck a lot. White of the Reliquary as well, gaining access to all those various lands, having more access actually to Cradle. Is huge because you need the mana advantage. And if on the next turn we actually can get a Cradle in there, we're not looking at 2, but 4 mana now.
Yeah, so it makes sense. And Marcus here goes with the Bowmaster on the Noble Hierarch, which Simon says to activate Sylvan Safekeeper. He wants to protect it, which also denies him the Orc Army token.
That means it's only one single 1/1 that he's to
Yeah.
stare down.
Exactly,
It isn't as big of a deal. You have now the 3/4 that may even attack in the near future. And yeah, it's really on the mana denial plan now for Marcus. Simon really has to find additional mana sources.
Yeah, the
And
Cradle
he does.
is pretty good at that spot when he has 3 creatures. He has access to 5 mana.
And does he go here? Would you go here for the natural order? Or does he have a Right of the
He
Reliquary?
plays the White of the Reliquary, another threat. We need to check how big that currently is. Then maybe there are not too many creatures.
I think there is not a single creature currently in the
Might be.
graveyard.
But anyways, it can grow over time. And yeah, Marcus is now for sure behind on board. There is the Reclaimer as an attacker, the white, and the Safekeeper really helps to make
Keep
sure
everyone safe.
to keep everyone safe. As the name would suggest, the Safekeeper keeps everyone safe here.
It's the medic on the board keeping everyone safe. And yeah, we are now looking at what Simon can do. Simon has now his big threat established. He can now sacrifice creatures that he doesn't want for additional Triadaubers to at least grow his White of the Reliquary. He wants to kill now the Noble Hierarch.
Yeah,
Gets
there's a-
protected once again.
Same play, denying the token. And now Marcus is just left with the 1/1 because Simon doesn't draw any extra cards.
Yeah. And with Cradle still providing 4 mana, it's really, really good.
Yep. Triad Arbor, this is something like he just played it now as he drew it off the top. It can be another land that he can use for the Sylvan Safekeeper or for the White of the Reliquary as well.
Yeah. Usually with White of the Reliquary, you sacrifice the Dryad Arbor, getting another Dryad Arbor to empower your whites a little bit, to grow them out of maybe even Necrogoyf ranges. And yeah, just attacking always for a little bit. The white currently attacking for 3, and the next turn for 4, then even for 5. And yeah, you're at 8 life. You don't have that much time anymore.
Yeah. Those Bowmasters are not super impressive. They will end up being jump blockers probably pretty soon. And yeah, as you see here, there's still stays on top of like in the hand of Marcus that would have been yeah. I guess now when you think about it, if a Barrowglyph was on the battlefield, this
Yeah.
would have been a much different situation.
Yeah, and even with Barugov, you've seen it in I think the third game of the winning in from Simon, where the Barugov just got jump blocked with Rite of the Reliquary activations.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, here he goes to sacrifice away the Noble Hierarch and not the Dryad Arbor, which I think is an interesting choice actually, because the Dryad, it makes more colors of mana.
It makes more colors of mana, I guess, at this point. Well, Lair of the Hydra seems like he just wants to push for more damage.
No, I was thinking of like killing off Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's of course an option as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And with Lair of the Hydra, you have 4 mana, 5 mana. You can make 4/4 to attack with this turn, and maybe even attack with both.
so he's thinking about whether he should pull the trigger now and activate this Lair of the Hydra, making it, as you said, a 4/4. We'll do that. And now he gets to combat, attack with both the white and the Lair. How big is the white of the Reliquary?
The white should be currently
At
3/3,
3/3? Oh, yeah.
and he's taking 3 damage.
Yeah, yeah. He jumped the Lair. Okay, it goes down to 5.
And on the next turn, you can attack with the Reclaimer, the white, and the Lair.
Mhm.
And have now, yeah, you have to block 2 creatures at least, or you are not able to survive.
Yeah, yeah. But let's see what Marcus has in his hand. Maybe a Kaito. This is a 4-drop, yeah. He deploys that. He could stun.
Stunning the white of the Reliquary
maybe.
would be really good, but
Yeah, he needs to
it
be
doesn't
careful.
matter.
He needs to be careful because the white is, of course, active.
Yeah.
There's potential of Talon Gates. So actually, any creature that he just stuns probably won't do anything.
Yeah.
So maybe he just needs to, yeah, he can just do. I'm assuming Samuel will say, okay, I will use my white to get my Talon Gates and phase it out. And let's see if he can find or have lethal. I think I think it should be actually lethal.
Because this one is for 4. You can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana and attack with a 5/5 Lair of the Hydra. So
I think this is only a 3/3 Hydra that he can make, right? 3 from the Cradle, 1 from the...
Yeah.
There's only a 3/3, but the white is at least 4/4.
And the
white has to be blocked, I guess, but the 3/3 and the 2/1/1s, or the
3/4.
3/4, yeah, this should be lethal.
Yeah.
Yeah, just you can attack with everything, which it does, and Marcus can only block the white probably, which should be the biggest creature, and still take like 7 damage.
And we have to concede here.
And we have to concede here. This means that Simon is now 1 game ahead over blue-black tempo. Pretty important, I would say. But let's see what happens now after sideboarding. Start with the Cradle control. Or maybe, because now Marcus has had the beating, let's see what Marcus can actually just do to help that a little bit. So we have Marcus here. Almost a standard with some extra choices. He basically has only 3 Bowmasters main deck and 1 in the sideboard, and he has a little bit of a more heavy hitting end.
Yeah.
He actually has 2 Barrowglyphs main and 1 extra Murktide Regions. This is not the standard numbers, at least. Usually only have 2 Barrowglyphs or 2 Murktides. But yeah, what do you think when you look at the sideboard that Marcus is interested to bring in here?
Yeah, for sure there are two cards that are must includes, and those are Toxic Deluge and Gravedigger's Cage. Gravedigger's Cage against any Greens on Zenith Natural Order deck is auto include. Afterwards, we are looking at additional cards like Brazen Borer, Barrogoyf, Orcish Bowmasters, and then also on the two Dorothy Voidwalkers. Dorothy being able to shut down the graveyard, keeping mostly Keynet Corridor, maybe even Rite of the Reliquary, pretty much small, can be something that he wants to tackle in here, but more on the side of Orcish Bowmasters, clearing off the small creatures to keep them in check, to make Gas Cradle pretty much useless, and Barrogoyf being the big lifelink stick that it can happen on the battlefield.
Okay, so you think that Orcish Bowmasters didn't really pull a lot of weight now? I mean, it can probably kill a lot of creatures, but do you think it's worthwhile to still keep them and maybe even bring one extra?
Yeah, in
Depends,
this
I
case,
guess, what he has to bring out, of course.
the game currently was a little bit awkward because with the one of Sylvan Safekeeper, he got denied the tokens. With the tokens, he would have had a much bigger board presence earlier in the game where he could have actually attacked. And yeah, not being able to Kaito anything, and because like with as we also seen with Kaito, you can Bowmaster, you have both of those creatures, he would have only one blocker or he had to jump both of them. One of them can bring in the Kaito, then you have the card advantage engine online, and this is pretty much game over.
When we now look at Simon's deck list, and the sideboard has a couple of one-offs that, in addition to very heavy hitters cards, of course, Urza's Saga is one extra Wasteland. It's just a one of the two territory.
It's the first Wasteland, yeah.
One Needle, one Teak, and 4 Endurance, 4 Snuff Out, and 3 Force of Vigor.
So basically the one-offs I think are staying out of the match. You don't really want Urza's Saga, it's a Wasteland matchup. You want it against mostly control decks where you can play off of your Urza's Saga. The Wasteland mostly against depth decks where you have to really interact with your opposing lands. Piffing Needle, what do you even name? Garrock Teague, it's only good against Force of Will, so it doesn't really make sense to bring it in. Because Kaito is usually just ninjutsu.
So how big do you think is then Simon's take on the endurances and the snuff outs?
I mean, snuff outs, as before the match said, if your plan is to board in snuff outs just to kill Tamios, and Tamios shouldn't be usually the card that is an issue. It doesn't really make sense to bring it in. Force of Vigor, you don't really have any enchantments and artifacts that you care about. And yeah, Endurance is a card that's usually good to sweep up a Barrogoyf or a Nanagoyf if your own graveyard isn't too big. I mean, for Barrogoyf at least. Against Nanagoyf, it's just a reset for 01.
I guess, given that there's not too many cards that he specifically put in to bring in for this matchup, so I'm assuming like there's no fatal pushes or something like that in the sideboard. So I'm assuming he already feels pretty confident against this blue-black deck, for example. And it's in the chat. It's interesting. Agreed, I would say. This Cradle control deck does not have any Allosaur Shepherd and also no Greater Behemoth, just their Traxxas. I think Behemoth, I'm not sure if it's a super stock card, but Atraxa is usually when it's paired with the natural order in the deck. But Allosaur Shepherd, of course, would have been very serviceable against Force of Will. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Allosaur Shepherd in a blue meta is usually really, really good. But currently with Bowmasters running around, it's kind of running on the same issue. It's very, very easy to deal with. Most of the blue decks or the blue-black decks play a Playset or 3 Orcish Bowmasters. And Orcish Bowmasters usually don't do much against any other deck. I mean, against this one you have a lot of X1s. But yeah, let's see how Marcus plays out the game. Early threat and...
John or Nanagoyf, Solid, I would say. It's okay. It can grow into, let's say, 2, 3, 3, 4 pretty fast. And let's see what Simon now can do about this. He goes on to fetching for his first land. And we'll see just a basic forest for now.
Because he saw the wasteland on the first match, so he said, okay, I'm playing a few forests up front so I can establish my mana, and then I can go for the more greedier, or not greedier, but the other excess mana in the form of Bios, Gas Cradle, Lair of the Hydra.
Interesting. Now we see a days here on the Noble Hierarch. I'm a little bit surprised to see this days post board. Maybe I'm not sure how reliable they are when it comes to the mid game.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of crucial because we don't really have Cradle control players in our locals. So I think Marcus is a little bit inexperienced in the matchup.
Well,
just my thinking about it. But in here, he established in game 1, okay, my opponent made a big wall, and now I try to go under the wall.
Yeah.
So
fair.
dazing, now attacking for 2 on the second turn is the thing that seems the most applicable game style now for the first game.
Yeah, it just wants to go faster, I suppose. And Simon has basically now to use his turn 2 now to deploy another Noble Hierarch to develop his mana, and follows it up by Buchuka Borg to shrink the Goef a little bit down. But I am assuming it will be growing rather fast again.
Yeah, and I think we have a fatal push in hand of Marcos and a fetch land, which means he can even attack for 2 again this turn, which would be exactly the game plan that he wants to follow through.
Yeah. So, basically, with that said, I think that Marcos is interested in ending this game as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And we see that with now Wasteland also, and another fatal push, denying the mana development from Simon further and attacking for 2 again. So really going for the tempo game.
Yeah.
Let's see what Simon can now do. He casts the Green Sun Zenith to get one of his Dryad Arbors.
Yeah. Which means he doesn't have another land. I mean, Buchuka Bog would be the last land he kindly wants to play. Because it's a key card usually in the matchup, can sweep the graveyard when it's well established on the side of Marcos with a few cantrips in there, the remove spells, a few creatures, so that the Barrogoyfs are well over 3x, 4x. But yeah, you have to go for it now. It gets wastelanded, which means you maybe can scoop it with endurance later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we have the mana with the Cradle. So maybe a wasteland in the near future for Marcus as well. I mean, wastelanding here, the Dryad Arbor wouldn't also be that bad because it denies the Cradle mana.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Well, Marcus has a Bloodstained Mire for his turn. He fetches and finds likely another Underground Sea. And we'll see. Do you think he still has Bowmasters?
Would be nice. I mean, it didn't shuffle or put it away from the hand. There was no brainstorm up until now.
Did he had? I didn't see the opening hand, so I wasn't.
Me neither.
Okay. I'm just thinking,
Yeah. But Bowmasters would be also exactly the card that you want here.
Yeah.
It's deals with the Dryad Arbor.
Another push, yeah. Very aggressive, I think. But yeah, this is, I guess, what Marcus is trying to do now. Denying and being aggressive with his spells, removal spells and creatures, yeah. A second Nethergoyf is quite good.
Yeah, it's actually a must for him to close it out until Simon can develop further.
Yeah.
There is actually another fatal push still in the hand of Marco Schmidhuber.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
Which means even if there is a white of the reliquary out there, you can kill it. The one creature that can be problematic would be a Sylvan Safekeeper, but even a Sylvan Safekeeper would mean, yeah, I have to kill myself a land, and White of the Reliquary is the best thing that Marcus could have hoped for. It's a good creature, it gets killed with the Fatal Push, you want it to get killed, you now fear a little bit the Whale of Summer, but there is not a single Whale of Summer on the side of Summer.
Yeah. It just goes for another field push, number 3. But I think this guys are still 2/3s, so it takes for 4 damage. Seems correct.
Yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't able to put in a creature. I mean, he likes to have creatures live, but yeah, now he needs one thing that keeps him climbing over the hill.
Okay, which is what for Simon?
Like a removal spell or a daze or something like that he can do here, but a daze is unlikely.
What is now Simon looking for when it comes to...
Simon is just looking to lock up the board. He wants to play creatures that can block, because like a White of the Reliquary, for example, would be the ideal creature. This one would block the Necrogoyfs, Nethergoyfs efficiently.
And now, yeah, he has 2 mana and 2 more mana, and then he plays an Endurance, okay?
Yeah.
Endurance looks pretty good in the face of 2 Nethergoyfs on the battlefield.
Yeah. And now I actually give the edge to Simon.
At this time being, I mean, the Nethergoyfs can still grow back, right? And let's see, Marcus is untapping, he draws the card for the turn. Another question is whether he can hold up his pressure that he built up with the aggressive field pushing and dazing and wastelanding that he has so far. Another removal spell.
Another removal spell. Now you attack, you fetch for the Surveil land, or if he has now a Ponder, it would be insane.
Yeah, then this Goyfs would be 3/4, and he can attack for 6.
But other than that, just go for the Surveil land. Grow.
Try
your
to
Nethergoyf.
Yeah. Make sure, or let's say, give yourself the best chance that these Goyfs are big enough to close out the game soon, and we'll see what will be the Surveil trigger for Marcus.
Yeah, maybe mill even a Kaito just to grow it, just to make both creatures lethal for next turn.
Could be, yeah.
Because like a Kaito in Fury wouldn't be that bad for next turn, but I think you just need the pressure. But we will see.
Keeps it on top as it seems, okay, and just attacks for 4 damage. And Simon says, okay, I can take 4 more damage for the time being. Let's see what he finds off the top of the deck. There's been a Lair of the Hydrant, and he has to pass, yeah. At the moment, he's not dead on board.
And what is the card?
Is
it the Kaito? No. It's a wasteland. It was a wasteland.
Master. Okay. Clearing the way and making sure that those Nethergoyfs are actually lethal. So we see a game 3 in the finals of our Austrian Legacy Challenge. It is Marco Schmidhuber on the left side on blue-black tempo against Simon Ritter on Cradle control.
Yeah, and in this really unbiased commentary, and I think we were pretty much unbiased, we've seen...
I thought this was like sarcasm or something.
No, in the half finals I was completely biased. But here I'm not. We keep it professional. But this was the typical tempo game that you want to see.
Yeah.
It was threat on turn 1, mana denial, dazes. It was everything.
And then chain of removal spells.
And then all the fatal pushes that you can hope for.
I mean, this is, of course, quite a big load of 3 fatal pushes and 1 shoot the sheriff was cast.
Yeah, four
yeah.
out of five.
And the end, the Bowmasters, yeah. I think he got to utilize every single card basically that he had access
Yeah.
to. Yeah, and Simon did the same, but was on the back foot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcos had everything, but he
Yeah.
could have also had like Bowmasters, Barrow-Goyfs, Brazen Borer can deal with something temporarily. it's really okay, but it was step after step after step something from him.
Yeah.
And Cradle, Chaos Cradle, not being able to provide any mana
Yeah.
without creatures was actually a big hindrance for Simon.
It was yeah, during the first couple of turns, yeah, when he got it, and yeah, it still did its job overall, but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Fuck UBX decks, yes. I mean, it's fair. I mean, there's a lot of those decks running around in the meta game, and we'll see if Cradle Control overall also has a pretty good shot at beating those decks, I would say, and we can look what will turn up now for this game 3 of the Austrian Legacy
And
Challenge.
yeah, and now we turned into the Legacy, into the dark episode. But I think it looks nearly better
It's
than when the
okay.
light is
Yeah.
on.
And I think there are not really any. Yeah, there were one or two Forge players that we had in the tournament.
Forge or
Mystic Forge. Yeah,
okay.
I saw at least one player when I scouted the area. I think also in our list, and we will of course publish all the deck lists after the tournament as well. In addition to the tournaments that will happen tomorrow. There we have our biggest event for this weekend, the Austrian Legacy Masters. So this will be again a tournament of 6 rounds plus top 8.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will of course publish all the meta game of. As there people are shuffling up, maybe we can just quickly go through the meta game that was being played today. So roughly 1/4 was on tempo. This is a mix of blue, black, and also Izzet tempo. Mid-range and control, this is something, yeah, we have some mono black mid-range, a little bit of Cradle control. This is what we see now in the finals, for example. Only 12% Reanimator.
Yeah.
This also includes the Shallow Grave version.
The black-red reanimated that we've seen, I think, in round 4.
Exactly. Permanent combo, Elves, Breakfast, and quite a bit of Breakfast also, I think. Spell combo is mostly was like Storm a little bit actually, and Sneak and Show, something like that.
Yeah, Sneak and Show, Food Chain was permanent combo.
Yeah.
Spell combo, mostly armed.
There were, I think, yeah.
There were a few different ones.
Yeah.
But
And while, yeah, there's some different Texas that we saw in the quarterfinals as well. And yeah, Paint there also for the permanent combo as well.
yeah,
by the
for
way.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you categorize Breakfast?
This was a permanent combo.
Also permanent combo.
Yeah. Okay, so and this was the meta game overall. You can see the snapshot, and also we have some prizes that will be played out today. So for this finals, they're playing it out for our Austrian Legacy Challenge. They will be playing, of course, the ALM invites, and they're playing for the City of Traitors or the foil Force of Wills.
Yeah.
And for tomorrow, we also have a nice set of prizes. Peter,
Yeah.
what do we get tomorrow?
For tomorrow, we get for 9th to 12th place, we get an Urza Saga. For 5th to 8th, we get an Old Ancient Tomb. For 3rd and 4th place, we get a Mox Opal. For 2nd place, a Phyrexian Dreadnought. And for 1st place, a Savannah and an Elm Invite. And actually, just to put into the players, I show off the last thing that you can get. This card from Savatarix.
We will show it in a second. It is a nice little, well, it's a nice little alteration card actually that Kai made as a sponsored gift for the Austrian Legacy Masters winner of 2025. Very nice to see. So I think with that, now we can head into our players, and they are deciding already what to do. Simon has again a turn one once upon a time.
Yeah, setting him up his first turn, and then hopefully play a land, accelerate his mana, and then we will see how it goes.
Same plan basically, but let's see what Marcus is now deciding to do. If he opts still to go for this high pressure tempo game,
Yeah,
because as he's now on the draw.
you are facing more creatures, so I really hope that he tried to get in the one-off Toxic Deluge and try to sweep up on turn 3.
Okay.
This is, if I have like a few cantrips in there, would be my game plan.
Yeah.
Because Simon has to put something to the table, so you can get your 3 for 1, and afterwards you can pretty much deal with fatal pushes and stuff like that. Then you play a little bit the control route, which is also something that the deck can really can do really good actually. But I think with going for the swamp here, not having access to days, still fearing the wasteland, you are just hoping to kill with the fatal push now the ignoble hierarch.
So
Or it's a Nethergorth.
Yeah, could be. There's a Thoughtseize. Yeah, Thoughtseize. Yeah. So let's see. Thoughtseize is playing cast and he sees a Noble Hierarch, a Chaos Cradle, Endurance, Elvish Reclaimer, and Once Upon a Time number 2. So, what do you look to pick here, Peter?
We have a Nethergorth in hand on the side of Marcus. The Noble Hierarch doesn't really matter that much. I mean, with Noble Hierarch, you can accelerate out both the Endurance and the Elvish Reclaimer. But I think you just let your opponent play the Noble Hierarch, then hold up mana for Endurance, and then try to fatal push the Endurance on the way in.
Okay. And Simon now deploys the Noble Hierarch, as you mentioned, has a Chaos Cradle also, and he has even now the Endurance up, and could cast it.
Yeah.
Given the fact that there is now not the possibility that Marcus has a daze, right?
Yeah.
So do you think he will go for it now?
It really decides. I mean, it's a big beatstick. It can attack for 5 each turn. You can play it out of daze range, but I think setting it up for our next turn and not giving Marcus the access to the easy fatal push basically on the first few turns with fetch lands, just being able to.
Okay, interesting. He decides to force the Once Upon a Time.
And there is closed decklist format. It's insane.
I can't imagine that someone is unhappy to see that.
Simon is loving it.
Yeah, I guess so. Trading 2 for 1 like that, I think that's good exchange. But let's see. I mean, Marcus has put up a pretty convincing tempo game in the second game before. He's now on his turn and he can deploy, in this case, an Orcish Bowmaster. So he's also again continuing as before, trying to interact basically at the earliest moment and try to get an advantage.
Yeah,
that way.
But we see the difference in being on the plane and being on the draw. It's insane. You would have been able to turn 1 Thoughtseize, then have the Wasteland, have the Bowmasters, turn 2, turn 3. So you have a lot to do. But yeah, let's see how he develops for now. Another Bowmaster actually.
Yeah. Okay, Bowmaster's number 2, which probably, he would like to kill this second mana dog.
Yeah.
And Simon says, okay, I want to float 2 mana to be able to cast this Endurance right now before going into combat.
And what does he? Okay.
Yeah, I guess because of Nethergorth.
Yeah.
You should always
because
exile.
Because of Nethergorth.
Oh,
Thought it is a bad top deck.
Also, you have White of the Relic in your deck. You don't want to
Yeah, but you can target nothing. In
You
this
can
case,
nothing,
with
yeah, no, but
Nethergoyf, it definitely makes
always,
sense.
always, yeah. So let's see. Nethergoyf, endurance on the battlefield for Simon. Let's see if Marcus has another 3 to 4 pushes.
I mean, he has a Kaito in here.
Okay. So you can basically ninjutsu that in.
Yeah, he
if he
can.
attacks with everything.
He can just attack with both of the Orcish Bowmasters. I mean, you still have to fear another endurance on the opponent's side, which would be actually quite devastating.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you are allowed to attack with all 3 creatures and don't have any blockers left. But yeah, let's see how Marcus decides to play this turn. Kaito, definitely potent here. Is a card that's very, very hard to interact with for Simon. You may be able to ninjutsu it in, then immediately stun down the endurance, and then go from there. Would be quite nice. Orcish Bowmasters being like one of the best creatures to provide protection for any planeswalkers, with mostly threats on the board and non-flying threats. So really, really interested.
He cast a brainstorm now off of his island that he just fetched.
Yeah.
Let's see what he finds. There's for sure one of those
Necrogoyfs.
Nethergoyfs.
Necrogoyf was the horrible one from I don't know
I'm
which
not sure.
sets back in the day.
There's so many Goyfs now, yeah,
Yeah.
with different names. Yeah. You have to
It's
memorize all of them.
I mean, it's black. No, I don't pull the fault further.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. He will deploy one of those Nethergoyfs, exactly, and just passes the turn back to Simon.
Yeah.
Simon has the option to go for probably one of his surveillance.
Yeah. He just now has to find additional mana or selection, whatever he will need. I mean, no, he doesn't play a single surveillant.
True, that's actually a good observation. I was just thinking every deck basically that
Every deck plays one.
Yeah, it's usually the standard case. Yeah.
One is free.
Yeah. And nobody goes for the Dryad Arbor, and this got wastelanded from Marco's side.
And this one is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Dryad
denies 2 mana, actually. But now it's the next Dryad Arbor, but it's also the 3rd mana that he needs to Kaito on the next turn. And this is actually a good observation now, because I missed it before the fetching process. You can't force in with the Orcs and the Orcish Bowmasters the Kaito, because then you can't just fetch for the 2 Dryad Arbors. I mean, throwing away the 2 Dryad Arbors for free would be something, but it would really neutralize the board here. And let's see if we get 4 mana, Natural Order, or do we get a Rite of the Reliquary?
It's yeah. Knight of the Reliquary has 1 mana floating, so the days is days proof, and that's it.
Yeah.
Couple of Bowmasters and Nethergoyfs on the battlefield for Marcos.
And he has a Tamio and a Kaito, I think, in hand.
Okay. Those are the 2 last cards, basically.
Yeah.
So then the Reliquary should be at least 4/4, like there are 2 mana dogs in the graveyard.
And the Dryad Arbor, am I right?
And the Dryad Arbor, true, is a 5/5, should be. Or even a 6/6 could be. I'm looking at this dice here that I think is showing a 4.
Yeah. But he tries to force in the Kaito now.
Okay, interesting. This means that Simon gets to actually eat a couple of creatures from Marcus. How good is this attack, do you think? Pushing that hard for this Kaito?
I mean,
well, because
it's really bad.
It looks really bad, right?
No, it's because now with 2 creatures on the side of Simon, you can't stunlock the single creature that can attack. So you can only stunlock white or
the white I guess the white will be stunned in this case.
Yeah,
And
but
he has to give up his whole board for that.
yeah, and he still has to give up Kaito on the next turn against Endurance.
So I'm not sure if this attack was correct. He trades all his creatures for a Kaito that he can now use for. Yeah, like I said, even if you stun one of those creatures,
It doesn't really matter.
Kaito will die. So I'm not sure what Marcus intended to do here. Let's see. He has now Kaito on the battlefield. He could go for the Surveil as well to draw one extra card. Or he can also plus and get an emblem. But he decides to stun as previously mentioned. And I guess Simon is pretty happy here.
Yes, Simon is really excited. He may be able to even deploy another threat this turn. Is this a snuff? No, it's not a snuff out. Yeah, it's a snuff out.
There is a snuff out, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now there is the second white. Maybe he even has another land in hand, which would mean he's able to pick up just another knight.
Yeah, there's another cradle.
Another cradle.
Just play another white. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Now it's pretty much game over here.
Because this is like lethal on board for sure. And Marcus,
he draws a Kaito here.
You know that because of the brainstorm?
He puts 2 Kaitos back.
Okay.
And now he can
just
fetch
deploy one
and stun lock the next white, and it does not matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah. Like in long term, right? It saves him a turn or two, or 2 turns maybe.
Yeah. The card that he really wanted here was Toxic Deluge. It's just the card that would have saved him here.
Yeah.
Because Toxic Deluge would clean up the board. It would mean Simon is left with 1 land basically. Marcus has 4. But yeah, just playing the Kaito here. I mean,
interesting. Okay.
Nethergoiving here. Just to jump block.
At the moment, the first white.
Oh no! I think it was a Tamio and the Kaito maybe that I saw.
And at the moment, there's this is not yet, I think, a lethal attack. But this Tamio for sure, and also the white, the Nethergoiv will turn into jump blocker soon.
Yeah.
And Simon just attacks with the
white
of the reliquary.
And do you know in which town we are currently?
Right now.
In the waiting for Toxic Deluge town. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is basically the only card that can do something here.
Yeah. Has to pass the turn. Now it's of course tough because
he's still dead. No.
Well, at least after this attack, Toxic Deluge is not a viable top deck anymore, and then
there is none.
What do you think about Barogoiv? It has lifelink. Is this maybe this can help?
No, you have the whites to deal with it.
Yeah, because of the Talon Gates.
Yeah,
sure.
There is
even the Grist.
And now you have the Grist. Do you have another creature? No, you just plus it.
This Grist was top decked, right? Or just I think it was.
I mean, you still attack with those 3 creatures. Search up yourself a Talon Gates of Madara, and
you can just use.
And you don't activate the Grist here because it can mill a Talon Gates of Madara, and you don't want that.
But you can also minus it, right? If you want.
I mean, you can
Just
make your
destroy
white,
the Tamio.
and you can make your whites one bigger.
By sacrificing the endurance, for example. It's also lethal, I think. So it takes lethal damage. Or is that okay? No.
Those are 8/8s.
Yeah. Think so.
Yeah. So congratulations, Simon Ritter.
Cradle control. Very nice. It took down this Austrian Legacy Challenge. I think very cool deck that we have, and he is rewarded with the City of Traitors, and I assume also the ALM25 exactly. So he will be playing in the European Legacy Masters in August this year.
And yeah, congratulations, Marcos. Nice showing up until the finals. I mean, still nice showing in the finals, but fell through once again. So see you tomorrow in the finals once and for all. Maybe we get a small short talk with Simon, or we close out the stream. We will let you know in like 2-3 minutes.
Exactly. We will be on a short break, and then we will do a couple of closing words for that for sure. So don't go anywhere in a couple of minutes. We are back live and about the shots. So at this point, we will conclude the stream for today's Austrian Legacy Challenge. It was a pleasure for sure. Thanks, Peter, for joining. And also Felix, he had to leave already. Tomorrow, of course, we'll continue with another big tournament. There will be the Austrian Legacy Masters.
Yeah.
6
Same
rounds,
size.
same size, a little
bigger
bit
prizes.
bigger prizes, exactly. So if you look at the schedule here, just a little bit shortly, tomorrow on Sunday we start also at 10 a.m. CET. Make sure to tune in for this one as well. There will be higher stakes even because of higher prices.
Yeah.
And for sure, lots and lots more nice legacy rounds that we will see for tomorrow. Congrats again, of course, to Simon Ritter. He won the Austrian Legacy Challenge and is qualified for the European Legacy Masters this year. And yeah. Any closing?
I'm just
thoughts?
happy to cast Legacy.
Yeah.
Was awesome. Even though we had a few rounds with Blue Black Tempo, we had so many different decks from elves over Cradle Control, the really fancy Tron-esque Eldrazi, but not Eldrazi deck.
Yeah.
I had a mushroom wearing starfish riding a turtle, winning in Legacy. So just awesome to be casting Legacy.
Great. Please, as I said, tune in tomorrow. And yeah, good night, have fun, and see you tomorrow for more Legacy for sure. Bye-bye.
Bye.